What's up, you guys? Welcome. Hi, everyone. My name is Deja. I am the co host of Prophetic Flow. Jesus is the host, as everyone, you guys, all my viewers, listeners from season one, you guys already know who's running things around here. For my newcomers, for my new listeners, for my new viewers, my new audience, you are welcome here. This is a space for all people. This is a space for everyone. The name of this podcast is Prophetic Flow. It is called Prophetic Flow because it is a flow from God where we talk, real life, and most of all, we're talking about Jesus on this show. Okay, we are talking about Jesus. We get into real conversations, real topics, things that pretty much the church don't want to talk about. Christians don't want to talk about. Nobody want to dip and dab in these topics or these uncomfortable type of topics. So that is what this platform is for. So again, if you are new here, welcome. This is season 2. Okay, episode 1, season 2. So if you are new, I already did season 1. Where you was at? I already did season 1. Season 1 is on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon. So it's just the audio version. Season 2, we're doing something a little different with being on camera. But the audio version is on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. So if you want to go back and watch season 1, please do so. There's 10 episodes and God moved in every episode. Okay. And so for episode 1, I was like, what should I do, Lord? What should we do for episode 1 of season 2? I keep saying that, y'all, because I'm so excited. Y'all don't understand, like, this is a milestone for me. I am a behind the scene type of girl. I have always been someone that liked to do things behind the scene. I never like to be on the forefront, like, you know, on the front line, because I don't know. I just move behind the scenes type of person. But God was like, we ain't doing that this time. You got to be in the front. So here I am. Okay, so I figured for episode 1, I feel like this should be an episode of a recap. Okay, so we are basically going to be, I'm going to be recapping season 1. I am going to tell you guys my favorite episode of season 1. I'm going to tell you guys the listeners' favorite episode, what I've been seeing so far, accomplishments, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. All right. So let's start with the listeners' favorite episode. And y'all, I was actually very shocked when I figured out or when I was seeing the listeners' favorite episodes. So everybody's favorite episode was really single on Valentine's Day. Single on Valentine's Day. And this was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was episode 7. Single on Valentine's Day was episode 7 of season 1. Y'all, when I tell y'all I was shocked, I didn't think I was going to get a lot of listeners for that particular episode. And I guess because of the name that really got everyone wanting to listen to it, because single on Valentine's Day probably think it's going to be about heartbreak and all of that. But it was pretty much of, positive episode and an episode full of encouragement to my singles. Even it was actually even encouragement to the married folks. Period. Clock it. Let's see. So for this episode, right? For that episode, my I'm trying to think about, like, what was my favorite thing about that episode. Let me think about it real quick, y'all. Okay, so when I did that, when I did episode 7, Single on Valentine's Day, I was thinking about myself and thinking about single Christians and how becoming a thing now where it's really a lot of Christians that are single that desire marriage. And I've seen it on TikTok, Facebook, it's just around, right? Everybody, they desire marriage. Before I even get into this, let me say one thing. I want everybody to know, and I also said this in the episode, is that singleness is not a curse and marriage is not the goal. The goal is Jesus. The goal is heaven. That's the main goal that we're all trying to reach. But singleness is not a curse. You learn a lot being single. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about others. And I'm not saying like you learn a lot about others, like, oh, you being nosy or being in business. No, I'm saying you learn a lot about, basically, I would say learn a lot about what others do and how their marriage is and stuff, like basically observing. And I believe I said that in the episode too. Like being single, I observe a lot. One thing about me, I am a observer. Okay. I will observe everything around me, people, marriages, friends, children, people with kids, single mothers, single fathers. I observe a lot, y'all, because it gives me the what to do and what not to do when I come to that point, when that season of my life opens for me. I observe a lot. And being single, when you observe marriage, you really learn a lot of what to do and what not to do. But being in a single status is not a curse. I want to make that clear because people really think that it's a curse or it's a bad thing. It's miserable, it's depressed being single. And it's really not. It's not. I have lived my best life being single than I was in a whole relationship. No shade, no tea. No shade, no tea. But it's the truth. Because when I was in a relationship, I was unhappy. I was sad. I was depressed. I was insecure. I was envious, jealous, had all this anger. It was a lot going on with me while I was in a relationship because one, I fully didn't know myself. I didn't know myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't respect myself, right? I was already unhappy. So entering into a relationship, already having all of these different things, unhappiness, um, insecurities, depression, all of this stuff, and entering it into a relationship, it's not going to make it better. All you're doing is honestly, you're just dragging somebody along. You're trying to get somebody else to fill your void that only God can. You're dragging somebody else along to make you happy when really you're supposed to be already happy within yourself. So when you are single, it takes that is a time to reflect on yourself, reflect on past relationships, and work on yourself. That's a time for you to really love you, and also you listen, know who God is. Okay, learn yourself. The more it says it's a rapper. Is he saying a song, and in the song he says, "The more I know you," he's talking about God. The better, and the more I know myself. You being a Christian, being single, your main focus should be knowing God. You're in a relationship with Him. So when you know God, you learn God. And the more you grow, the more you understand and you build this relationship with God is when you will learn and know more about yourself. Y'all, I'm literally giving y'all my the whole episode. So my new viewers, I want you guys to go back and listen to that particular one if you are single and you're a Christian and you really desire marriage. I know I talked about in there too about even about marriage. How a lot of married people don't even realize that marriage is actually a ministry. When married people realize that marriage is ministry, they will move differently. I know I said that, and it might rattle some marriages and be like some people that's married. What she thinks she know about marriage? She ain't never been married before. Yes, I have never been married before, but one thing about my God, He will give you wisdom. Come on, He will give you wisdom in certain areas, in things. Okay. And again, like I mind you, I'm an observer. So I observe a lot of things, marriage, all of that. So with that being said, marriage is ministry. When people who are married realize that is ministry, both of y'all, it's ministry, you'll move differently. Your anointing together will be differently and powerful. But it ain't even about y'all married folks right now. For my singles, though, for my singles who are desiring marriage, learn yourself, get to know God. If you don't know anything about yourself, ask God. I remember I did. I was like, Lord, help me to know myself. What do I like? What's my favorite hobbies? What do I like to do? Like, you know, what's some of my hobbies? What? And he gave it to me. People really don't be thinking that God be speaking. He be speaking. You just don't be hearing. Come on. He speaks to you. You just don't listen because you want to listen to whatever you want to listen to. You want to hear what you want to hear. But okay, God. But I was like, Lord, what's my favorite hobby? What do I like to do? Like, tell me, show me. Reading. Y'all, I am a reader. He told me reading. Reading was your hobby. You like to read. And I've been reading ever since. I have been reading ever since, y'all. Like literally. I have been reading ever since I go to the library, I get books, and then I of course study the word. And then I have a Kindle, so I read off my Kindle. Y'all, I take when I have physical books, before I got my Kindle, I was going to the library. I will always have my book in my purse. Always. Because baby, I will let me get bored, bust it out. Even when before I had my Kindle, I had my iPad. Let me go ahead and bust it out. Like that's how I was. And but I realized that okay, I really like reading. Sometimes I take a little break from reading, but that's something I like to do. Another thing that I actually, discovered by myself is I like word puzzles. I like to do word puzzles. I like word search. I love to do coloring. I was just talking about this, y'all, actually on my Snapchat and stuff, how I love to do the number colors. Like you match the color to the number and you draw it out in your picture. I love doing that. And while I'm doing that, I'm not on social media. I'm not worried about the next person. I'm not on Facebook 24/7. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Snapchat. What I am doing is literally coloring. And then I have my iPad and I'm listening either to a sermon or I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to, the Bible. Sometimes I have the Bible playing, or I'm listening to worship music. Me doing that is my downtime with God. That's my relationship. That's my connection with Him. Just the other night, I got home from church tired, but I was like, I want to color and I want to listen to, a podcast or, just chill. That's what I did. And I went in my prayer closet and I did that. To me, and I prayed too, I believe. Yeah, I prayed. To me, that's my me and God time. You know how some people like to sit in a car. I do. I like to do this. I like to sit in a car with someone, especially someone like if I'm talking to or whatever, just good vibes. And I like to just sit in the car and chill. We don't have to say nothing. We don't have to say a word. It's just the presence. That's how I am when I'm in my closet with God and I'm drawing or coloring. I don't have to say anything because the Bible says that, you know, your spirit, it intercedes for you. So sometimes when I don't have the words to say, sometimes when I cry and that's all I do is cry. And when I don't know really what to pray for, what to say to God, I get in my prayer closet. Even if I just sit there, it's okay because my spirit knows and my spirit is interceding, connecting frequencies to God, and God hears that. So that's just an example of when I'm asking God, like, Lord, what, ask God, what do I like to do? What is it? What's my hobbies? And he will give it to you. So that was episode 7. That was just a little bit of it. I don't want to go too deep because I really want you guys, for all my Christian singles, I really encourage you guys to go back and listen to that episode. And I hope it blesses you because it honestly, just me talking about it now, it's blessing me. It's encouraging me because the desire, you have a desire for marriage. You have a desire that, Lord, I want to start a family. Lord, I want to meet my husband. I want to meet my wife. But let me tell you something, before you can enter into that season, you have to make sure you're in alignment with heaven. You have to make sure that you're in alignment with God. Before you can enter that season of marriage, you have to make sure that that is what you're ready for. And the reason why I say that is because so many people, so many married people will literally walk into a marriage still with a single mindset. You want to walk into your marriage with that desire of with your marriage with a married mindset. And then you also have to, one thing that I said too, and I'm gonna leave it alone, you have to prepare for marriage. Prepare for it. You don't know how to cook, learn how to cook, get a cooking book, call your grandma. You don't know how to uh, you don't know how to listen, you don't know how to, I'm not gonna I'll use obey. And I'm not using obey as a word like, oh, submissive. There we go. You don't know how to be submissive, learn it. Because women, we supposed to be submissive. And it's not a bad word. People just think it's a bad word. But anyway, men, shoot, you want to be a man that provides and take care of the cars and stuff. Learn how to fix a car. Learn how to fix a car. But no, but you have to prepare for what you want. Get prepared and ask God to prepare you. I know I asked God, that was like, Lord, help me to have patience, God. Because if I'm sitting here saying I want children, I got to have the patience because, Lord, listen, prepare yourself. Prepare, get prepared, preparation. Okay? So now let's move on to, let me look at the second one. Ooh, okay. So the second most viewed, well, most listened to was A Hindrance in the House. This one hit home. A Hindrance in the House was actually my third episode. What can I say about this one? Oh God. A Hindrance in the House talks about how we can be a hindrance in the body of Christ. Let me sip my tea, Jesus. This one hit home for me too. A hindrance in the house, I reflect on the scripture with, I don't know his name. I don't know his name. And I got my iPad. Let me see if I can find his name. Zacchaeus, Zechariah, the short one. I believe it was the short man in the Bible right there. Um, this man did not want to turn. He did not be because of what he did. I think he was like a tax collector or something of that nature. Because of who he was, and because he being a tax collector, whatever, he didn't want people to reject God because of him. Now y'all know they frown upon tax collectors and stuff in the Bible, especially if you was one of them, because why is you taxing me and stuff when you know we don't got it? But anyway, he didn't want people to reject Jesus because of him. Y'all gotta go back and read it, but when I talked about a hindrance in the house, it reminded me of that. Sometimes as Christians, we can hinder other people from growing We can hinder the outside world from coming into the wall, to the four walls of the church, or getting to know God because of us. Because of us. Prime example, Drewski. Drewski put a skit out like what, a month, 2 months ago, about not really the church, but much more of the pastors and how they out for money, how they doing all these tricks and stuff like that. And what about the collection plate and driving in these Rolls Royce, all of these vehicles and stuff, asking for $1,000 in tithes and offering and stuff like that. He made a skit about that and it went viral. Millions of people watched it. And when I looked at it, I actually thought it was funny because honestly, he's not lying about leaders and what they do and how they manipulate the church and the people. But when I looked at the comments, I got sad because I saw so many lost souls, so many people who's putting how they pushed away from the church because of this, and how they don't go to church no more because of that, and how the reason why they walked away because of that. I got so burdened and so sad. And I believe I prayed too for the people. I was so sad, y'all, because as believers, we're supposed to let our light shine. We're supposed to be Christians and believers in Christ that draws the people in, not push them back. But we do. We are a hindrance from the outside world coming into the forefront. We are a hindrance to the people. The people of God can hinder others from coming in. We are the most biggest judgmental, hypocritical saints. And I said what I said. We can be so judgmental. Soon as somebody walks through the door, we judging them down because of what they're wearing. Soon as somebody prays a little different from what you're accustomed to and used to, you frown upon them and tell them that they are wrong and got the wrong spirit. We are so judgy, but we never think to look at ourselves. This is why God said, this is why Jesus told the Pharisees, he was like, get the plank out your own eye. You dead on the inside, but you judging this person because they want to come to me. We can be the biggest hindrance. And I talked about leadership, how leaders, apostles, bishops, how we need to get it together because we are driving the people away. I remember that I woke up at like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I prayed, and God was talking to me about how the leaders are scattering the sheep. We're not even being shepherds and bringing the sheep in, we're scattering them. We're being a hindrance. Now the flock has gone on to everywhere else because of you. That's all I'm going to say because I could go on. But a hindrance in the house really had me to observe my walk. It had me to observe my talk. It had me to observe how I speak to others and how I carry myself, because that can be some that's that can be a hindrance. So now I examine myself and I ask God to dress me up, help me to be a better person, than I was yesterday. That I got that from one of a ministers at our church. She said she prayed to God, Lord, help me to be a better person than I was yesterday. Forgive me if I treated somebody wrong, didn't know it, or etc. Help me to be a better person. So I say that, Lord, help me to be a better person than I was yesterday, God. Dress me up, God. Help me to guard my mouth. Lord, help me to be a woman that walk with grace, wisdom. Help my, that I have the right posture. We have to pray and ask God for these things because we don't know when we're hurting somebody. Our words can cut someone. And then another thing I said also is how we can hinder ourselves from growth. You can be a you can be your biggest enemy. You can hinder your own growth. You can hinder your own walk with God because of your mindset. So go back and listen to A Hindrance in the House. So I'm not going to go any further with that one. So those was the most listened to was again Single on Valentine's Day and A Hindrance in the House. So I was like, let me what is my favorite episode? What is my favorite episode? You know, all of them are, I love every episode. But I'm like, what is my favorite episode? So my favorite, y'all had to have my tea. Y'all like my mug. It says fueled by Jesus and coffee, but I'm not, I do drink coffee. I like iced coffee, but this is tea. I normally drink tea, and I would get into it with y'all about the herbs and stuff, but maybe another day. Okay. So my favorite episode would be, ooh, see, I'm sitting here like, okay, let me think about this. Let me think. Let me go. Let me look. Actually, honestly, I think my favorite episode was The Waiting Room. The Waiting Room. The Waiting Room is episode 1, 2, 5. The Waiting Room, episode 5. I believe that's one of my favorite episodes because it's hard to wait. Oh, it is. Y'all, I gotta sit up. I gotta sit straight for this. It is hard to wait. It is. Waiting on God, oh, it can be so hard to wait. You can feel discouraged. You can feel like God is not listening to you. You will feel like no one is there. You can feel it's so impatient. Like it hit home. That one is my favorite. It hit home for me too, but of course, but that one's my favorite because sometimes we don't want to wait. I don't want to wait. I like to get I like to get stuff done. Okay? I don't like to wait. But waiting on God can be frustrating, but it can be peaceful. It could be calm. It could be every emotion. Angry. Waiting on God can arouse so many emotions because it's like, Lord, like you see what I want to do. You see where I'm trying to go with my life, Lord. You see, what I want to make happen. You see that I want to buy this big house. You see that I want a brand new car. Lord, you see, God, this job that I need and the money's not there. And God, you see my bank account, Lord. You see that I want to be married, desire marriage, Lord. You see, God, that my marriage ain't going right, Lord. What is help me? That waiting room will have you in shambles. Waiting on God is the hardest but best thing that you could ever do because it gets hard waiting. It gets hard, but the peace that comes with it, it's the best thing because while you're closing a door, a chapter in your life, God is opening up a new one. And I said this in that episode as well because it really did something to me because I didn't even realize or listening to the episode made me realize for myself like you literally closed a door that you didn't think you could close. I closed a door in my life that I did not think that I could close, y'all. And I sealed it, shut it, and everything. And it took time. It took time to close that chapter in my life. It took time for me to close this door that I didn't think that I would ever close. And when I thought I closed it, it was still cracked. And I was okay with it being cracked because even though it ain't all the way closed, it's closed enough. You know how you just want to peek and have the door just cracked a little bit to kind of like, hey, you know, that was me. I had the door almost closed, but it was still cracked, and I was okay with it being cracked. But eventually, the more I got into my word, the more I waited on God, the more I worked on myself. This goes back to single on Valentine's Day. The more I worked on myself, the more that I got into my word, the more that I dedicated and focused on God, the more my focus shift and change. That door closed, and I didn't even realize it closed fully. I did not until that episode dropped, that I didn't realize that I fully closed that door and I left it behind me because I had to, in those moments of me having it cracked, I had to deal with my trauma. I had to deal with my past. I was dealing with emotions and stuff, and I was dealing with all of that. Y'all, I was dealing with it and not knowing that I was dealing with it. I was conquering those without even knowing it. I was healing in those areas. It wasn't even, listen, y'all know when y'all have like a little cut or, like a wound or whatever, and you going day to day, but it's healing itself. It's just healing. You don't have to put no ointment or nothing on it. It's just automatically repairing and healing, and you just moving on with your life. That's what I was doing. That is what I was doing. But I was moving on with my life and healing with God. That caused that door to shut completely and seal it off. But even though while it was shut and closed and sealed off, I was still in the waiting room, still waiting. But while I was in the waiting room, again, sometimes it gets hard. But while I was in that waiting room, I was praying, I was studying, I was fasting, I was talking to God, I was in my word. I some days I was like, Lord, some days it could be a little tough, but all of that going on while the door was closed, sealed, but sitting in the waiting room. I was sitting in the waiting room, still praising, still worshiping, still talking to God until He finally opened up that door. And to the new season, the elevation in my life, He opened it up. He opened that up. So the waiting room was really like an awakening for me. Like, girl, look at you closing doors and leaving the past behind. Look at you sealing off and not going back to what, you know? And that's what we have to do. When we learn and when you learn how to let go of dead weight, let go of the past, let go of people, things that bringing you down. When you learn how to let go of those things, you'll probably be waiting for a little while. Even when you let it go, God might not open the door just yet because you still got to work on you. He'll open up that door. I'm telling you, he will open up that door. I said this on this episode as well, and I will always say this. If you have so many people, so much baggage, so much dead weight on your elevator, when you're trying to elevate in your life, elevate with God, that elevator will not go up because you have so much. It has a capacity limit. You have to let some stuff off. You got to let some people off. Listen, there has been, I have went through friends. I have went through friends, and not saying that it ended in bloodshed or ended in bad ways, but one thing that we got to realize is people are seasonal. And even though you might be hurt by the people that leave in your life for whatever reason, just know that it was a reason why they was there and a reason why they had to leave. No drama, no nothing of that of that nature, but we have to be okay with people walking away. We got to be okay with you walking away from people. Still love you, still pray for you, but I got to walk away. In order for me to elevate, in order for my elevation to go up in God, in my life, in what I want to do, my career, I have to let some things go. You want to raise on your job, you want that elevation in your life or your job, and you waiting on God to give you that raise, but you got to put in some work. What I got to do? What you talking about, Deja? What do I got to do? What you mean? You got to take action. You got to stop coming in late. Be nice. Like that's those are things as well. Like stop being late. Let go of them long breaks that you be taking. You gotta adjust. You gotta work on yourself while you're in the waiting room and the doors will open. So that look at me. I'm encouraging myself with it. See, favorite episode. All right. So I was like, I have a few questions. Like, one of the questions is, what did I learn the most? Out of all my episodes, what did I learn the most? I think I just said it with waiting. Waiting, learning myself. From each episode, y'all, I learned a lot. Even while in the midst of talking, this is why the show is called Prophetic Flow. Because even if I studied on an episode, and read scriptures on an episode and things like that, it's God will always take it into a different way. And while I'm talking and while I'm listening to what I say and talking about it and go back and replay and stuff, I'm learning even from what God is revealing and showing me and telling me even in the episodes. The waiting room, I learned how to continue to wait and work on myself because we're not all perfect. We still have to grow. We still have to learn, right? Single on Valentine's Day, I learned how to be patient with myself and not get frustrated from what I see. Even with social media and stuff, everybody getting married, everybody getting engaged, everybody do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, Lord, when it's my time, patience is key. Single on Valentine's Day and the waiting room go hand in hand. A hindrance in the house. I learned how to check myself, check my posture. So that's what I pretty much learned the most. In every episode, I have learned something like, uh, I could go on and on. I've learned so much, so much. Another question that I ask myself too is, what was my biggest challenge with season one? And my biggest challenge was support. My biggest challenge and what my biggest, I'll just keep it at that challenge or what they say, pros and cons. Cons, I guess I'm gonna say challenge. Was support. Because you support so many people. You could be somebody that supports everyone with their businesses, accomplishments, um, graduations, whatever you name it, marriage, children, baby showers. It don't matter what it is, you support. But when you're doing something, when it's time for you to do the work, right? You have this vision, you making it come to life with God, and God is telling you to do this, and you move forward. You feel like that same support you would get in return, but it's not. Even with family and friends, family, friends, you name it, you would think that those family and friends will be your number one supporters, and they're not. And that was my biggest challenge with honestly pushing myself to do prophetic flow. And really, I didn't really need much pushing because when God tell you to do something, you do it, and I do it. Okay. But it was really like my mind and my mindset, and I had to get out of that mindset. Like that was my biggest challenge of support and how, okay, I should get support, or you thinking, assuming that I would get support from family and friends, but honestly, your family and your friends could be your biggest haters. And I'm not saying that any of my family and friends are haters, anything of that nature. Because I do have family and I do have friends that support, and I love them and I appreciate them, for supporting me, boosting me up, my platform, you know, even my, just family, cousins, I love them. But still, even from them, you would think it'll be more, if that makes sense. Um, but that was my biggest challenge, is I had to get out of the mindset of thinking that everybody is going to support you, but people are not. People are not. And this is just in, even though I'm talking about this challenge of being a challenge for me, hopefully it's encouraged to somebody else that whatever goal, whatever achievement in your life, whatever business, anything that you want to start in your life, do it. Do it with God and do it. Don't worry about if you only get one person that supports your business. Still thank God anyway and do it, because this is what I told God. I was like, God, I may not get 1,000 supporters, or I may not get so many people that view, or whatever case may be. I said, but Lord, first of all, this is not about me, it's about you. And then I told God, I said, just one person. If God, I get one person to listen to my episodes, each and every time I drop it, God, I am thankful and I'm grateful, because I want that one to hear you, and I want that one to turn and change their life around for you. That was my prayer. That's what I said, because I'm grateful for the little things in my life. I'm so grateful. And I told God, I'm grateful for that one. So that was my biggest challenge, was support. There's even people that I have never met before, and they support me. Shout out to my my women's of God group chat that I'm in, and it's full of women that we learn and talk about the word and encourage one another. And some of them listen to my podcast. Some of them encourage me, you know, and it's crazy because I never met them. They live in different states, but they can still encourage me more than family and friends can. So that was my biggest challenge, was about the support. But I'm still doing it anyway. It didn't stop anything, because no matter what anybody say, no matter how much people may look at you and be like, she shouldn't be doing that. If God tells you to do it, you do it. Don't worry about the naysayers. Don't worry about who, when, what. When God tells you to be obedient and do it. You better be like Abraham. Listen, Abraham, God told Abraham, I need you to leave your family and go in the land that I'm going to promise you. And what did Abraham do? He left. He obeyed God. He didn't ask God questions. He didn't say, well, Lord, what you mean? Leave my family. God, well, should I? He went. So when God tells us to move and do something, we do it. When God tells you, hey, I need you to open up your business, and you're like, well, Lord, I don't have a building, I don't have this, I don't have that. Start small. Because I promise y'all, listen, I'm an example. When God told me to do my podcast, I was thinking, okay, Lord, I need these microphones, I need this whole set, I need this, I need somewhere to go, I need boom, I need this, I need that, Lord. Okay, Lord, stressing myself out. I'm doing your will, God. I'm doing what you're telling me to do, Lord, but I need this, I need that, I need that. But all I needed was a microphone. All you need is a microphone. Everything else will come later in its time, in its will. You just need a microphone. You don't need to be on camera. You just need a microphone. And that's what I did. Y'all, I kid y'all not. These episodes, season 1 episodes, I was either in my car, I was at my home church, um, my church. I was at in my car in the gym parking lot. I was in my driveway of my home. I did what needed to be done to push these episodes because that's what God told me to do. I was so worried about where I'm going to do it, when I'm going to do it, because I'm looking at all these other, just studying on podcasts and looking at everyone else. And I'm like, okay, I want this. I want that. I want to do it like this. Or, okay, I want to have the little big microphone, to my face. I want the aesthetic. I want this. But God was like, just get a microphone. You don't need all of that. It's the voice that they need to hear. It was just a voice. That's it. So this is encouragement, you guys, just to do it. Everything else will come, but just do it. Lord, I want to start my business, with hair, and I don't have a builder. I don't have it. Do it from your house if you can. I see somebody that on internet on TikTok, they get a lot of views because they do eyelashes in their car. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's how her startup. Maybe she don't have a house or whatever to, go to let them people, do it, but the car is fine. So she do it in her car. And she haven't got not one complaint. So start it up. It don't have to be big. It don't have to be big and glamorous and stuff. Just do what God tell you to do. And then look at me now. This is season 2, episode 1, and I'm on camera. Everything is how it should be. Everything is aligned up where I should be. I'm in alignment with God, baby. But yes, so that was, I would say, my biggest challenge. Okay. And where do I need to improve? Oh, y'all probably like, oh, now she asked us if they yes, because it's called accountability. And that's one thing that I talked about in one of my episodes is how we do not like to take accountability. We do not. I need to improve in, oh, Jesus, what do I need to improve in? I would say more time. What do I need to improve? More time. And more time. More time in studying, focusing, and executing it. Hey, we in a series at my church. Faith, focus, and execution. But I give more time. And you might be like, but you say you in your word, I do, but life can get the best of you sometimes where you do whatever, you know, or you just forget. But I would say more time. See, I'm taking accountability, and it's no excuse. It's no excuse to stop and give God glory and praise and study a word. It's no excuse. It isn't, honestly. I always try at my job. I always steal away. Even my boss, they was like, where she always be going? They even asked me that, and I was like, oh, I go in the corner and I pray. They don't say nothing no more. They already know what I'm doing, and it's okay with them. I go in the corner and I pray. I try to steal away on my breaks to pray. Listen, when somebody frustrate me, I get upset, I pray. I pray. I go in my corner and I pray heaven down sometimes. I walk around back and forth, in that little corner and I pray. I be like, Lord, it's me. But I try to give God my time. That's where I need to improve in time. And that's another thing with being single is that when you are single, your time, that's all that you can give so much time to God when you're single. But when you have children, when you have a husband, You're not going to be able to give all of that time to God as you would as you single, because you got to tend to your kids. You got to make sure your husband is straight. You got to make sure the children are good. So I cherish these times and moments with God that I have. Even when I'm charging my car, I take my Bible, I have my iPad, I'll pray, and I'll sit there and I'll study while it's doing its thing. Sometimes even when I reach a percentage that I can take it off, I still sit there and let it charge on someone. I'll be like, okay, I'm because it's so much peace that you get when you spend time with God. It's so much clarity, understanding, and just like I told y'all before, like even if you don't say anything and you just being in the presence of God, like that's enough. So it's just the time. So more time. That's my accountability. That's what I take account of, because it's no excuse for any of us not to spend time with God. Well, I work this and but you get off work. If you can make it to your job and do what your bosses tell you to do with no complaint, no issues, even if you're tired, then you can make time for God. If you can go to every event in the CSRA and do this and do that, then you can make time for God. It's just we put God on the back burner so much. We make him last when he should be first in everything that we do. I'll do it later. I get to it later. That's even with the house of God. Coming into the house of God. Oh, I'll go next Sunday. I'm too tired. But then you get up and you go to your job though. One thing that a podcast that I listened to is they said that we really serve. Well, he was talking about marriage, but also took this in a different way too. Like we really obey our jobs, our bosses, everything else more than we do God. Our bosses tell us, hey, I need you to stay an extra hour because XYZ, you stay in that extra hour. But when God like, okay, you need to spend time with me. Well, Lord, this hour I gotta go and I gotta do this, I gotta do that. So I do it later. I do it when I get back home. Then when you get back home, you knocked out sleep. You go to bed. We have to learn how to spend more time with God. And I'm talking about myself too. Because sometimes, listen, on a Monday, baby, let me tell you, on a Monday, I would literally get in my bed, put on some anime. Y'all, I love anime. Put on some anime, binge watch a little show, and sit there. And then I'd be like, Lord, Mondays is my rest day. I'll start studying on Tuesday because that's Bible study is Wednesday. But every day we should be spending time with God. Every day we should be in our word. So I challenge you guys, and this is even a challenge for myself. I challenge y'all to spend time with God every day of the week. Every day. Set time, set aside an hour. I don't have an hour, 30 minutes, just to dwell in his presence. Say, Lord, I am here. I am here in this moment, God, and I'm asking you, Lord, to come and sit with me. Lord, even if, God, I don't know what to say with this moment with you, God, hear my heart and just spend that presence with God. It's people that I've seen on TikTok, they even go on dates with God. And I love it. They will go to a restaurant, they will go on a picnic, they will have their Bible, their word, and they would just spend time with God. We have to make God a priority. We have to make God the center and focus and the number one in our life. You make that man and that girl number one in your life, and they ain't even treating you right. Hello. But we can't even make God the priority and number one in our life, and he does everything for us. He wake you up. You got shoes on your feet, clothes on your back. So for me, that is what I need to improve on, guys. And I feel like we will stop there, y'all. I am excited. I thank you guys for tuning in to the first official episode of season 2, Prophetic Flow. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys stay tuned. Please like, share, comment, all of that good stuff. Subscribe. Put it on your alerts. Episodes are always dropping every Wednesday, okay? Every Wednesday. These episodes are always dropping. So tune in to next week's episode of Prophetic Flow. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and y'all stay in the flow. Bye.